Hi, everyone. Happy Wednesday, or whatever day you're listening to this. It is another episode of the Welcome to My Tent podcast. We're here with a solo episode. We had a couple weeks off because of the holiday, and it's been obviously chaotic over here because there was a family reunion that backed into the holiday, and then we were in Tucson. And then we were back, and I know that everyone is just really pressed and strapped for time, as am I, and I figured I wouldn't plug your inboxes up and your podcast feeds up with too many episodes, because a lot of us have less time these days. So we're all good. We're back. Solo episode. Classic format here. Some updates, some things, some topics that I would like to discuss with you all today. And then next week, we're going to be back with some guests that we already have recorded and edited. And then there's a couple other interviews that I have in the upcoming weeks. So a lot more content for you all. But today, enjoy this solo episode. Hi, hello, hey, and welcome to my tent, a place to hear life experiences, different opinions, a range of journeys, and a viewpoint different than our own. A place to challenge our own thoughts, a space to learn a little bit, and I promise some fun along the way. I believe we're better when we let a range of people into our tents, so welcome to mine. Okay, hi, hello. Why are my headphones not working? There we go. Now they are working. Tech, I'm telling you, it is the hardest part of my life. Is tech, always tech. Whether I'm trying to log on to a Zoom meeting for clients, never have I ever. Remember that game? Never have I ever had technology work on the first try. Finger down. Anyway, hi. What are we doing today? We're doing a solo episode, and we'll start off with our, life updates, what's been happening over here, because I have not been on the air. Oh my God, I sound like a radio host. I have not been on an episode in a few weeks because the holidays have just been smushed in, as well as some family trips and all these things. We were traveling for Thanksgiving, and I know a lot of us are running around like chickens with our heads cut off this time of year anyway. So I took some time off, 2 weeks off of episodes, and now we are back. We had a lovely Thanksgiving. We went down to Tucson to be with my mom, which was really fun. It's only 2 hours, so it's a long enough trip that it's not, a weekly thing, but it's not too bad. And God bless tablets downloaded with Miss Rachel, because Ronan would not probably tolerate a 2-hour car ride straight without something like that. Judge me if you want, but it was really lovely. And it was my family, my brother's family, my mom, my aunt, my uncle, and her country club thing. It's, how can I explain this? Because in Arizona, a lot of these clubs are also hotels and they have courses. I digress. But they do a really nice Thanksgiving buffet, which is also phenomenal because then no one has to clean anything up. So we went up there and did that. It was warm enough to swim one day, which was great. And we stayed in an Airbnb actually, which was also a clutch move because my brother and his family, there's 4 of them, there's 3 of us, and it's just really crowded in my mom's house, as well as with the kids. It's nice for them to have their own space and all that jazz. So we opted for an Airbnb, but Thanksgiving was wonderful. And now we're kind of headed into the holiday Christmas situation. I will say I'm really excited because tonight or later this afternoon, Ronan has a Christmas or a holiday performance at daycare, and his room is singing jingle bells and there's tambourines involved, and I'm really excited to see how a bunch of 18-month-olds tolerate this performance, but that we'll see what happens later. And we're trying to get ready for Christmas and all that stuff. we are going to be here in Phoenix this year. Eventually, we're really going to try to figure out how we can split holidays a little bit better between my family, which is mostly in Arizona, and Duke's family, which is still back in the Midwest. It's just been a really crazy couple years because we moved and then we did have, well, Ronan, it's still a small kid, but it's getting a little easier to travel with him, but it's still pretty tough. So we're going to try to eventually figure out holidays in the Midwest versus here, but we will be in Phoenix for Christmas, which will be really good. One thing though that I have realized, and I've talked to a couple of people about this, and for a while it kind of made me feel bad, but then it didn't. And what I'm realizing is that I am not the mom. I'm not the decor mom. My house has 0 Christmas decorations, partially because if we had a tree, I just think it would be chaos. Ronan is too curious and so fast, and I can just see that thing falling on top of him. I feel like it would be more hassle than it's worth. Maybe I'll go grab some wreaths or something festive, but it's really hard when you see all these really cute Instagram houses and people with all their decor and they swap it out for the seasons. And I'm just not that mom. But what I'm realizing is I can still make a lot of fun and traditions and all of that stuff, even if I don't have, the North Pole essentially in my living room. Especially as Ronan gets older and stuff, we'll put more emphasis on it, I think. But for right now, I have 0 Christmas decorations in my house. Not a one. Like if you walked into my house, you'd have no idea what month it was because it looks like it always does. And if your house is also like that, I completely understand and I'm with you. And I promise you, it doesn't make you any less of a mom because I was kind of feeling like that, like wondering, am I not giving my child Christmas joy? But we will have it in many other ways and we'll kind of evaluate as we go. And we kind of feel the same way about presents because we're not really getting Ronan much because he is 18 months old and doesn't understand what a present is, and he has so much stuff. And we are lucky because my brother's family, they live down the street. They just gifted us hand-me-down gifted us their cute little play set, this little swing set with a slide. So we kind of gave that to him. We are getting him one thing, a Tony box. If you are a parent, you've probably seen them. We're going to see how this Tony box situation goes. But other than that, we're not really getting him a ton just because I feel like it just contributes to the mess and the chaos and all that jazz. I know some family is going to be getting him some stuff as well. So we're not really getting him a lot of presents either, which contributed for a second to we have no decorations. We're getting him no presents. Are we terrible people? No. I just feel like we need to do what feels most aligned to us, which, is all good. And you should feel empowered to also do the same. So that's what's happening over here in terms of the holidays. And I'm trying to get my act together to send out our Christmas cards. They will most likely be delayed because honestly, you know what? I outsourced some of this stuff because I didn't feel like handwriting a billion return addresses. So my family and Duke's family are big. We have a lot of different friend groups. So we have 180 something cards going out. And I was not about to handwrite those. Then I had to order the little return labels and I'm waiting for those. Whatever. I don't know if anyone really cares about that, but yes, I feel like I'm behind, which is okay. And I don't know where the day goes ever, but it's all good. But I do want to take some time to talk about a couple different things, especially as we're heading into the new year and what that looks like for me, maybe what that has looked like in the past and how I view that now, especially in the line of work that I do now, which is health coaching and fitness coaching and, working with clients on creating habits that last long term, because this year is prime time for a lot of people to be tossing in diet culture or starting to realize the year is coming to an end and they didn't make the changes that they wanted to, and how that can trickle into the beginning of the year as well as how we view all of this in general. And I talked about this on Instagram earlier in the week. And for some reason, this has still just been bugging me. And I don't really know why, but this one's like really gnawing at me for some reason. And I saw a thread this past weekend from a creator who has like a decently large following, and he's in the health and fitness space or the wellness space. And the thread basically said that we are so unwell as a society that we consider a 20-minute walk exercise. And I saw that and immediately cringed, and my blood kind of started to boil. And the more that I thought about it and sort of formulated my own responses to that, which I did put up on Instagram, I feel like so much of this connects to the conversation that a lot of people are probably having with themselves right now. So I do think it's worth it to share. What really bothers me about this specific thread is the context also, and like the way that he's talking about it and connecting two things together. So he's connecting the health of the world and what we consider exercise. I would have been a lot more okay with it if he had said, if someone comes to me and wants to train for a marathon and they're considering a 20-minute walk their training, that's insane, because I would agree with that. If you are trying to train for something super specific, if you're trying to run a marathon, yes, I'm sorry to break it to you, but going on a 20-minute walk once a week is not going to prepare you for that. But what really bothered me about this, I think the most, is that he was equating the health of our society and exercise. So I don't disagree with this person that we are extremely unhealthy as a nation, as a world. We are much unhealthier than we were years ago, and a ton of stuff is contributing to that. Obviously, the food and processed stuff, and how we're creating food, and even creating vegetables and all that jazz. And we're so sedentary. I mean, work has changed. The way that we operate has changed. So I don't disagree with the fact that we are a pretty unhealthy population. But when we're trying to get someone to make changes to that, so say that they're ready to kind of say, okay, I'm ready to take my health into my own hands. I know that I have not been living to my optimal self. That's where he was then connecting. And then that person considers a 20-minute walk exercise. No, dude, like, we're going to shut this down. And so much of this is what I talk about with my clients and what I really preach about, because for someone that needs to make a change, 20 minutes is a big ask. If someone has never exercised or hasn't exercised in 10 years, you can't ask them to go from 0 to 1,000 miles an hour. You can't tell them that a 20-minute walk is not enough. And again, like right around this time of year is when people try to say, like, turbocharge your efforts. You have to go like balls to the wall. We have to get really aggressive. And it gets into a lot of people's heads. Someone that is ready to restart a fitness journey or get on a health journey might read that and think, oh, well, I was going to do a 20-minute walk today, and I was initially going to be really proud of that. And now I'm not, because this person is telling me that that's not enough, that that's not worthy. And it's demonizing certain types of exercise. Walking is exercise. I don't know why we don't think that. Walking is a fantastic modality of exercise. Running is really hard on your body. It's difficult. It's hard on your joints. I know this. I was a distance runner. I've done marathons, and it destroyed my body. And so as we approach this new year, it's hard, but ignore that noise, because I don't want that to deter people from saying, I know I need to make some changes. It's okay to start small. It's okay to say, I have to really revamp my life here. I have to work in things that I had not previously been doing with the same amount of time that I've always had. It's okay to start small, and it's okay to celebrate the wins of, a month ago, I was sedentary all day. And this month, I went on a 20-minute walk 3 times a week. Guess what? That's 60 minutes more than you were doing the month prior. And that's how we start to create those habits and systems and ways that we can start to trust ourselves, and we can start to build that in, where you can then say, okay, now let's make it 30 minutes or 45 or 60. And as a fitness instructor and someone who has coached both group and individuals, the fitness community and sense these days can be an extremely intimidating place. And this is kind of the second point that I want to talk about, especially as we are potentially starting to incorporate new things or thinking about wanting to add certain things into our health and wellness routines, is that there's a lot of messaging on what is enough. And that also needs to be tossed out the window, directly out the window onto the ground, and then seal the window up and never look at it again, because it is enough if it is the right trajectory and path for you. And that's going to look different for every single person. That's going to be an extremely different journey for everyone. So say someone that is spending 5 days a week exercising and they want to make some tweaks, that's going to look different than the person that hasn't exercised in 10 years and then wants to start to implement some type of routine. And we're going to see, as much as I hate it, studios start to come out with stuff that's kind of encouraging you to up it or do this or do X. And I've also taken a lot of classes in my life as someone who has enjoyed fitness and someone who has taught fitness. And this is also where I start to see the word modification become a dirty word. And I have seen studios that claim that they're inclusive and claim that they're fitness for everyone, but their marketing is, men and women with 6-packs and shirtless and okay, you're saying you're for everyone, but there's one singular type of person being advertised in all of your messaging. And I've seen people who are conducting classes, especially as we're entering the holidays and the end of the year, saying take those push-ups on your toes, burn off that dinner, whatever. And it reinforces this message that what you're doing is not enough. But here's the thing about modifications. And I don't even like to call them modifications. I like to call them options, because we're all built and connected differently. And we should be able to go to a fitness class and have someone coach us through an option that's going to work best for us. And a lot of times, if you're trying to force yourself into an option of an exercise and your body is not ready for that, or your body is not conditioned for that, you're going to end up using the wrong muscles anyway. It's not even going to do what it's supposed to do. I have an example for my own body, because there's also certain things that are never going to feel good for me, ever. I have a lot of hyperextension in my elbows, my shoulders, my rotator cuffs, my knees, my hips. My whole body is basically hyperextended. And so if I'm trying to do a push-up on my toes, it is putting so much pressure into my joints and my shoulders and my elbows and even my wrists to a certain extent, that my low back takes the brunt of it. So I do push-ups on my knees every single time. And I have been in fitness and in health for many, many years. And it's not to say that it's because I'm trying to take the easy way out. If anything, I'm actually making it harder for myself, because I'm able to properly, enlist the right muscles and use them. But it also isn't and shouldn't be, if you can't do X, then do Y. It is, if your body feels like it is aligned to a certain option more than one, you take it. You take it. And we're getting there with the narrative on fitness, I think, but it just seems to be so turbocharged this time of year, where we're trying to force people to do things that society deems more valuable, to get ourselves ready for 2024 or to end the year strong. My recommendation to you, if you want to end the year strong, is to continue to do things that support you and your body and your journey. And it doesn't have to mean that come January 1st, we have to make all of these different changes. And that's sort of the third connectivity point to all of this is the new year, new you bullshit, like this New Year's resolution thing, where I don't think it's inherently bad to set goals at the beginning of the year. I think it's a natural progression to say like this marks the first day of a new year. But I think we have to be really careful on how we're creating those and wording those, because it comes with a lot of expectation that you have to be a completely different person on January 1st. And I just don't think that's true, because if we're working through our goals correctly, there also is a potential for them to be moving. So if you make a goal in the beginning of the year, like, why are you just sticking with that one singular sentence of a goal? Like, why? Like, a lot changes in 365 days. And if we're not constantly evaluating and collecting the data along the way of what's working and what's not working, that goal is going to stay stagnant. And that is not going to be pushing you forward. You could set a goal for yourself in June, in February. It shouldn't have to be, this is the one chance I get to set myself up for 365 days. Because what happens if it's not working out? In 2 weeks, in the middle of January, we've felt like a failure, and we kind of say, okay, I'm just going to let those go to the wayside now because it didn't work out. So I don't love New Year's resolutions with this expectation and the dependency that we're going to all of a sudden be a new person. Like, we are the same human we were in 2023. We were the same person as we were yesterday. And if you are thinking of sitting down and setting some hopes up for the next year, I'm happy to help you with that first and foremost. If you want to chat and sort of figure out how to make those encouraging, realistic, sustainable, alignable, and make sure that they're actually suited for your journey. Like group New Year's resolutions, that's where I really get tweaked out, because I'm like, why are 10 of you setting the same goal? You're different humans. And what I personally like to do is actually have a theme or a word for the year. And I've thought a little bit about this for 2024. And this one is a little bit different than I've done in years past, where, you know, gratitude was my word one year. Love was my word one year. And I have decided that for 2024, my word is hope. HOPE, hope. And I thought on this for a little bit and decided on this word because it is going to be a big year for me of hopefully hope. There it is. Of transformations. I hope it is a year of transformation. I hope it is a year of challenge and change. I hope it is a year that I expand. And if I anchor myself to a theme, I find that I can tend to then create goals and not be as wrapped up in it if I need to make adjustments, as opposed to like sitting down and saying, my goal for 2024 is to do X in business, because that can tie me to that. And it can be really hard to get yourself out of that headspace when that's the only thing you're focusing on. So my word is hope. And if you want to join me and do a theme for 2024, I encourage you to. And it can be really fun to tie that in to what you're up to and your goals, and to anchor you back to something that allows you to change, that allows you to evolve as you need to, because humans are meant to evolve. We're meant to evolve. We're meant to be different than, we were. We're meant to make changes. We're meant to challenge ourselves. So hope. I have a lot of hope for 2024 in a lot of different aspects. Personal, professional, relationship wise, like all of these things. And especially in business, as we're moving into my first full year of entrepreneurship. I always really struggle to say that word. As we're moving into me owning this and figuring some things out. And I have a ton of really exciting stuff on the horizon. I'm not going to lie to you. Some of it scares the shit out of me, but in a good way. And I have to kind of get over my own fears in a lot of ways. And I think it's going to be the one thing that I hope, bringing it back, week challenges me to become a better entrepreneur, to become a more well-rounded person, to get my skill sets and the different knowledge that I need built up. And I'm really excited to tell y'all what's coming out. One thing is coming out very soon, as in like this week soon. And it's going to be the first part of kind of a staged launch of things that I'm working on. And I am so everly grateful that I am also working with Alexa Charwell. She's been on this podcast before. Hi, Alexa. How are you? I'll probably talk to you in like the next 5 minutes, but hi. And she runs her own marketing consulting service. And we've been working together on getting some of this prepared and like rolled out. And it's been really helpful to have her because she kind of serves as my sounding board, but also someone that pushes me to be better. And that's so much of life, so much of this podcast. Like the reason I started this podcast is because I want to invite as many people as possible into my circle. Because I think we're better humans when we let other people show us their expertise and let other people show us their perspective. This is actually just a random side note, and it just popped into my head because I have also messaged with a brand this week and last week where I almost didn't because I didn't want to be considered like dramatic, but it meant something to me and something intuitively was calling me to message this brand. But I got an email and this is what drives me nuts, is brands now are kind of contracting out to agencies that will mass outreach on their behalf. And I understand the benefit of automating and enlisting help, but the way that this went down, something deep within my core decided that I should reach out because my hope, oh my God, look at it. Here it is again. My hope is that by me sharing my experience, they'll learn something and maybe make changes, maybe not, but I feel like I'm doing my best to share my experience. Anyway, here's the deal. So I got an email from an agency that first off, it said, "Hi, Sarah D. Johnston," which is my Instagram user handle. So clearly they're not looking at that. And then it went on to say that I would be a perfect fit for this product, which is funny when I'm saying it now, literally like a pea cup that makes it easier to take pregnancy tests. And if you've taken one look at my profile, one look, or just listen to anything that I've said over the course of anywhere, you would know that I struggled for a long time with infertility. It was so hard to have my son. And a lot of that process is super triggering. One of the most triggering parts of it is taking pregnancy tests or ovulation tests or whatever. And that's not an uncommon thing for the infertility community. I mean, I'm not going to speak for all of us, but the POAS, pee on a stick situation is not ideal. And so I get this email and I'm looking at it like, really? I'd be a perfect fit? We took a look at your profile. We think you'd be a perfect fit. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. And what kind of bothered me is this is a really big brand. And I think that they're trying to get into the fertility aspect of it. There's a baby side and a mom side. And then I think they're trying to get into the fertility aspect of it. And I think they're probably just trying to collect a bunch of names of people that maybe have a kid or in a certain age bracket, and that would qualify them to be a perfect fit. But there wasn't much vetting that went into it. And so I emailed the brand back. I emailed the agency back first and I said, hey, listen, fertility, anything fertility related, I think needs to have more vetting. Because if you're sending this to me as someone who is extremely open, it's probably hitting the inboxes of people that don't speak about it. 1 in 6 couples is going to struggle with infertility. And this email did not make me feel good. It brought up some pretty awful memories. Not to mention, I'm also pretty open about the fact that we're done having kids. And so I emailed the agency back, and knowing that they probably wouldn't answer because it seemed like it was automated on their end. So I don't even know if that was a real person. But I decided to email the brand, and I did that this morning. And I was like, hey, I found the context, email. I was like, hey, X brand. And I'm not going to out them right now because I'm actually waiting to see if they respond. I was like, just FYI, like I got this email from your agency. I understand that it's contracted out and I understand that they're, trying to find a bunch of people that they want to work with. But, from my perspective, here's my story, and here's why this email did not find me well. I hope this finds you well. It did not. And I was like, I think I was pretty nice about it. I was like, here's my story. Here's why this kind of is difficult for me to receive. Peeing into a cup and taking a pregnancy test, like, it still gives me agita. Like, I still get a racing heart when I think about it. I was like, and this is a 1 in 6 couples, and I'm really, really open about it. And so it felt like there was not a ton of vetting over who was getting this. And for anything fertility related, I would recommend that there's just a little bit more thought that goes into it, as this could hit someone's inbox and not make them feel that good. And I sent it over this morning, TBD on response. But, in my mind, I'm like, if I can share my perspective and maybe open their eyes to like, oh, shoot, we can't really approach this the same way that we approach our mom speed of products and our baby speed of products. Like, fertility is an extremely sensitive topic for anyone, even if you don't experience infertility. It's a very personal and a very sensitive topic. And so I decided to share. I was like, you know what? I preach letting people into my tent. I'm going to go ahead and tell them the story and tell them maybe a side of the coin that they did not know. And for all I know, they will laugh at it and delete it and never do one thing with it. But I think the more people that we listen to, the better. So that was a long rant on that. But, tenties, you're all my tenties now. And I'm hopeful. Here we go again. Look at me. To be able to invite more people into my circle in 2024 and to make that bigger, to make my tent bigger. And whether that's business or professional, personal, all that stuff. Anyway, I think that was it. Let's look at my notes. I do have notes. Yes. No, I think we're good. Anyway, it's going to be a crazy couple weeks, folks. I mean, I know it's only December 5th, but I feel like time doesn't exist in this month. And it goes fast. And this is when people start trying to get ya on the diet culture. Yeah, I'm not going to quit my day job and start singing. Anyway, I love you. Goodbye.